Hi, today I'm going to teach you how to calculate your relationship sign astrologically, the way proper astrologers do it. And I want you to listen not to just one video, because it's not just one sign that describes your relationship. It's not that easy. Things are quite mixed always and quite complex, as you've noticed by real astrology I've been trying to teach you. It's never black and white. It's never, oh, your Aries and your partners will be always like Libras. But it's always, we look at relationship, first of all, from the ascendant sign. That's how we calculate relationship. From the seventh sign from the ascendant, or we call it the seventh house, describes your marriage partner. Most often how he'll be physically, how he'll be like persona-wise. But if you don't know your ascendant sign, you can find it by going to my website, AstroLada.com, following the link below. Or following the link below, and go to the ascendant sign calculator, enter the time of your birth correctly. Say if you're born 6:30 in the afternoon, enter it like 18:30, the European way. And once you have the ascendant sign, listen to the relationship description for the ascendant sign. Give the ascendant sign make it the first one you listen to, because it will be probably more than 40% true. You identify with more than 40% with it. And then find out your moon sign, because the moon has direct relevance to relationships as well, because the moon is the planet of emotions and feelings and vulnerability in our inner world and how we connect to others. Therefore, it's one of the most important planets for deciding relationships. And once you know the sign of your moon, then go and listen to the relationship description of your moon sign as well. It will probably give you 30% description of your partner will be like, or for some, even especially for females, because females identify with the moon much more than males, because the moon is a feminine planet and females are feminine creatures. A lot of the women can identify a lot with the description of the partnerships of the moon sign, actually, and again, the partnerships from the moon sign are again defined by counting 7 signs from the sign of the moon. So basically the opposite sign. It's always the opposite sign of the one that you have as the moon sign, as the ascendant sign, or sun sign. And also check the description of the partnership for your sun sign, especially males, because the sun is a masculine planet and males identify more with their rational, logical side, with their more, goal-oriented and active side, which is described by the moon. And a lot of women will also identify with it, because in those day and age, nowadays, women are much more in touch with their masculine side, with their active and goal-oriented, achieving side, rational side, And the sun sign is the one everyone knows. If you're born in April, you're probably Aries or Taurus. If you're born in September, you're probably Virgo or Libra. This is the one everyone knows. It will probably give you 25% the sign, the description of the partnerships that you're going to attract. But make sure you listen to the 3 of them to get the fuller picture. Some of you identify more with the ascendant sign partnership. Some of them will identify more with the sign opposite the moon. Some of you with the sign opposite the sun. But you will definitely feel the 3 sign partnerships as well. When you think about it, you will. But again, I keep saying, I think the ascendant is the most relevant one through watching through my practice in the long years. What happens when your ascendant is Sagittarius? Well, then your relationship sign will be 7th sign from Sagittarius, which is Gemini. So maybe you'll be often attracted to people who have some planets in Gemini, Sun, Moon, Venus, Ascendant, or even if they have no planets in Gemini, they behave very much like Gemini because they have a strong Mercury in their horoscope. Or they just somehow in your presence become very much like Gemini, And what will those Gemini partners be like? Well, Gemini is the most curious and versatile sign of all. So these will be very adaptable people, very communicative people. Gemini is the sign of communication, of mental stimulation. They'll be very curious and always gathering information, investigating, picking information from here, from there. They'll be full of gossip and knowledge about the everyday worldly affairs. And you need such kind of people, because you as Sagittarius ascendant, your mind is centered on much higher ideal topics and things in life. Some of you may be spiritual, some of you are not spiritual. They are just on more high-minded matters of life. But this Gemini type of partners you would attract, they're much more centered. They're also very mental. They're very curious people, but much more centered into day-to-day activities and the activities of the world. It's like news, magazine, newspapers. They'll be informed about everything. They'll have information about everything, and they can keep you stimulated and excited for a long time with a lot of information. Sometimes their pettiness can drive you mad because they're much more interested in, as I keep saying, in more mundane matters than you. They're not as philosophical as you and not as moral as you. So this can infuriate you a bit. These Gemini type people, they're not the most ethical. They're just curious. They want to try everything. And while you live with more moral etiquette as Sagittarius ascendant, but but in this life you need to center your focus again to the more mundane day-to-day things, more material, practical information and skills and experiences of life, and these people will help you do that. They'll stimulate your interest in everyday mundane affairs. And in gossip almost, in chatting, in exchanging information, because you as a Sagittarius ascendant, you can be happy on your own in a mountain somewhere or in a farm, but they're very much city dwellers. They need constantly stimulation from others, constantly changing environments, changing relationships, changing interaction with other people, and they will pull you with them into this, especially if you're very much in love with such a partner, into this kind of affairs. If you're in a long-term relationship with similar partners, they might sometimes drive you mad, as I keep saying, because of their pettiness, and their attention and focus changes constantly. While you're Sagittarius, you can keep an ideal high in your mind and always follow this ideal, because the Sagittarius is aiming at one goal. Those Gemini type of partnerships you're going to be attracted, they'll have their attention split in 5 different directions. They can do 5 different things at the same time: talk on the phone, watch the television, Facebooking at the same time, and ironing, and or they can change their interests and their opinions every 5 minutes, while you're much more strongly opinionated, with much more opinions based on certain moral issues or belief systems. They don't have such belief systems so deeply, They just take life as it comes, and they want to experience everything. So this can be a bit infuriating for you sometimes, this lack of depth and philosophical vision. They can be quite restless and changeable in their opinions, as I say. Their attention constantly shifts here and there. They talk to you, but they're looking at the same time at everyone around in the restaurant where you're sitting. But they're so knowledgeable and witty, quick-witted in mind. All my friends that have Sagittarius ascendant, they keep attracting very intelligent men, because Gemini energy, they're just so quick on the mind, so observant about certain things. They're so witty and bright. They're a bit dispassionate as well, but so much fun to be around, full of acquaintances and people they can introduce you to. And they'll be youthful in appearance, unless you have some other planets in the more older looking signs like Capricorn or something. But you'd prefer slender partners that are quite youthful, quite even if they're not very young age-wise, because Gemini is a very youthful sign. They will have a very youthful attitude to life, always curious, always excited to do new things, restless, as I keep saying, they're fun, fast, sociable. You're not going to attract a partner who's going to be a housewife or a house husband. They'll like to move, to be stimulated, to be more in social environments. And because it's a dual sign on your seventh house of marriage and relationship, dual sign means it's a movable sign. It's also the icon of Gemini's two twins. So it's often people with Sagittarius ascendant might have more than one marriage or more than one long-term relationship, live-in term relationship with someone. So it's interesting. Watch this. I've seen it in many clients and friends of mine that they have more than one marriage, or sometimes they can double date even. Nothing wrong with that, You can double date. I mean, because you're also very curious, But you can attract this kind of partners. In the worst case scenario, Gemini can be very flirtatious, So it can be infuriating because they can flirt with everyone in the company. Gemini type people that you attract. and but they're more like a dog that barks rather than bites, you know. But you have to be aware about this tendency for your spouses if you have Gemini in the ascendant, and that they're not so much held down by moral restrictions unless something in their horoscope else changes. But generally speaking, Gemini is not so much morally, you know, attuned sign, but full of interesting information, full of wittiness, of fun, they'll teach you to network, to chat much more freely, to live more into the material world of everyday information rather than in your high-minded ideals and in your kind of abstract ideas and concepts in your life. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this reading, all of you Sagittarius ascendant, and send me some information. How do you find it? Do you see relevant experiences in your life? Do you attract similar partners? Let me know if this information I'm giving you, how it affects you in your life. Is it true for you? Thank you very much, and good luck in your relationships.